G'day, I'm Paul. You're looking at the most affordable plug-in hybrid SUV in Australia. It's called the MG HS PHEV Excite. Now, Plus EV is their term. They want to kind of differentiate this plug-in hybrid from a parallel hybrid like a RAV4, for example. This competes with things like the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid and also the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid. We really don't have too many options in Australia when it comes to plug-in hybrids at the moment, but it is good to see more and more of them are starting to appear. Now, this is priced at just under $47,000 drive away, so it is pretty good value for money when you consider exactly what you're getting here and the technology that they've been able to cram into this. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, I'd love it if you could subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon, because that's going to tell you every single time we review a plug-in hybrid SUV. Let's talk design. So you've got 5 exterior colours to pick from. All but blue is an extra $700. So on the design front, look, this is all pretty straightforward. The HS has been out for a little while now. So look, to me, the styling is starting to get a little bit dated, but I guess they're doing what they can before an all new model gets revealed. Down the front here, you've got this 3D looking grille. It kind of goes inwards and comes out a little bit, and then that MG logo protrudes from the front there. So pretty cool looking design, and I think that just a bit of style in this segment isn't such a bad thing. Chrome around the outside there, and then you have a radar down the bottom. Over here with the headlights, have a look at this. I've not seen halogen headlights for quite some time, and there is a reason for that. They really are not very good headlights, and you can have a look at our headlight comparison by clicking up here, where we take you through the differences between halogen headlights and different headlight technology available. You can get a more expensive version of this car that actually has LED headlights. So if lighting is important to you, you're doing a lot of country driving, I'd probably go for the next model up. But you do get these LED lights surrounding that halogen headlight there. No fog lights either. Now, around the side here, you've got a set of 17-inch alloy wheels on a 60 profile tyre. This should mean that this actually rides really nicely, given that it has so much rubber there on the sidewall. The wheel design's pretty straightforward. You've got that machine cut finish on the outside and then a bit of graphite there on the inside. Up the top here, you have some plastic cladding on the wheel arches there. This is front wheel drive only, so you're not going to be doing any off-road driving. In fact, the ground clearance is circa 170 mil, so it really isn't too suitable for off-road driving. But it does sit a little bit higher, so getting in and out of it is a little bit easier. Up the top, you have body colour up the top there, indicator built into the wing mirror, and then a black section down the bottom. More of that chrome garnish runs down the side of the car there, along with on top of these door handles, roof rails, and then come around to the back. Now, around the back here, you've got a shark fin aerial up the top there, brake light in this rear spoiler housing, got the MG logo, HS PHEV, which stands for plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, an LED element here in the taillights, dual exhaust pipes, and then this sort of matte black finish down the bottom with that diffuser section. So look, I think the car actually still looks good. It is just starting to look a little bit dated. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Do you think this needs a bit of a refresh, or do you reckon they are on the money in terms of the way that it looks? So we're inside the HS. We'll start with the key. You've got lock, boot, unlock, then on the back, MG with a bit of red garnish around the side there, a little bit of chrome as well. This is a proximity sensing key, so you can leave that in your pocket. Then when you're ready to roll, you have a push button start up the top here. So let's talk about the design. Look, I think on face value, this actually looks fine. It's sort of nothing amazing, but I think when you compare it to some of the other vehicles in this segment, it actually looks a little bit premium. Got the big screen up the top there, soft touch materials along the dashboard there. Minimal use of piano black. There is a bit sort of around here and here, but for the most part that looks perfectly fine. There are some blank buttons though, and because this is the entry-level model, they've kind of stripped it back of pretty much all of the features you get in the upper spec version. Now, what about your touch points? So that's pretty firm there, not too bad on the door there. How soft are they? Well, we've got our durometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. So if you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description. What about your build quality? Let's give this a shot. Wow, that's pretty loose in the center there. Not too bad up the top here. And then door test. Doesn't sound too bad. Moving on to infotainment. So you've got a 10.1 inch infotainment system. It looks fancy, but it's not that great. So you can drive it as a touchscreen, but you do have shortcut buttons down the bottom here. I'll run you through the basics. So you have a 6-speaker sound system, AM and FM radio, no digital radio, unfortunately. And then you also have satellite navigation built in. It's a third-party system. Kind of works okay, but yeah, it's just a little bit laggy at times and takes a while to start up first time around. You do get smartphone mirroring though, so you get both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Both of those are wired systems. So you can see there, it's pretty sort of snappy in terms of the way that it works. No dramas at all. Let's have a look at what Android Auto looks like. So again, full screen integration and not too bad there in terms of the speed as well. Ahead of the driver is another digital display. So this shows you speed, trip computer, and also information about the charge status. I'll run you through that when we do go for a bit of a drive. So how do you go in terms of safety technology? Well, you've got autonomous emergency braking with forward collision warning. You've got an auto dimming rear vision mirror, lane departure warning, and a lane keeping assistant. You've got radar cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, which is an important technology, blind spot monitoring with this little light down here. On the parking front, you've got rear parking sensors and a reverse view camera. I'll show you what that looks like. There you go. Quality of that's actually pretty good. I can see our suitcase there. Guidelines move with the steering wheel. You even get a readout in terms of your distance from the object too. So pretty impressive there in terms of parking. Let's chat about your practicality, and we'll start off with your phone connectivity. So no wireless phone charging, unfortunately, but you do have 2 USB-A ports down the front here and a 12-volt outlet. On phone storage, you've got a few little spots where you can hide it, which is great. I reckon this is a bit of wasted space though. You've got that cover and then you can't really do anything down there. So missed opportunity. On our drinks, coffee cup fits in there, but it kind of gets lost in there. So you need to prop it up a little bit to prevent it from getting delidded. Bottle fits in fine. This center divider actually moves. So if you do want to give yourself a little bit more room or adjust that layout, it's got some teeth in there to allow you to do that. Bottle can go inside the door as well without any problems. Let's try our big bottle. See if it fits inside the door. Yeah, it does. Fantastic. Plenty of storage there. Just next to the driver's knee, you've got a storage slot for keys and coins and other sort of bits and pieces. This moves forwards and backwards. You've got storage in here as well. Plus, it's air conditioned, which is kind of nice. Glove box, let's have a look at that. That's pretty reasonably sized too. That's not too bad. And finally, you have a sunglasses holder up the top. Moving on to your comfort. So you have dual zone automatic climate control. You've got heated seats for the front row. Seats, they're pretty comfortable. It's a faux leather type arrangement, but they kind of hug you in nicely. They're fine for longer distance drives. Seat adjustment comes in the form of electric for drivers. You can go forwards, backwards, backrest can go forwards, backwards, and then you have manual lumbar adjustment. Your passenger seat is entirely manually adjustable. Steering wheel offers both tilt and reach adjustment, and then on our reach test, all of this stuff is easy to reach while you're driving. So, second row of the HS, knee room is pretty reasonable, toe room is good as well. Headroom is excellent. So pretty impressed with the space back here. It's actually quite sort of roomy when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. Other creature comforts, you have mat pockets in the back of the seats, air vents. You've got 2 USB-A outlets down the bottom, 2 ISOFIX points on the outboard seats with 3 top tether points, a center armrest here with 2 cup holders. Try that out. Yeah, that works a charm. You've got teeth in there to hold everything in place. And then there's a little storage nook in there as well. Some fancy brushed aluminium. Storage inside the doors. Yep, enough for a bottle there. Now, our window test. Here it goes. Will it go all the way down? Yes, it does. Fantastic. And final thing I'm going to show you is you can actually recline these seats if you do want to give yourself a bit of extra room for a kip. Moving on to cargo space, pop this open. So manual tailgate. In its standard trim here, you have just over 450 litres of cargo space available. Beneath the cargo floor here, you've got a number of items. So you've got a space for your charging device. You've got a tyre repair kit because there is no spare tyre. You've got a tank manhole. I don't know exactly what that is. Let me know if you know in the comments section below. I know I'm meant to be the car expert, but I'm not entirely sure what a tank manhole is. Cooling for your hybrid system, and then you also have the 12-volt battery. Let's have a look at what it looks like with our bags in there. So there's the laptop bag. Pop our suitcase in as well. Look at that, it's a pretty decent sized boot. I am impressed by that. Got a cargo blind there as well that you can get out of the way if you need to. But if you do want to expand this space, you can drop the second row pretty easily just by flicking these levers, giving that a push, and that exposes you to just over 1,250 litres of space with a fairly flat floor as well. Now, before we go for a spin, let's talk about your EV portion of this plug-in hybrid. So you can only charge it with AC, single phase, and only at around 3.6 kilowatts. So not very impressive in terms of how quick you can charge it. Given the battery is almost a 17 kilowatt hour battery, that's going to be something like a 5-hour charge. So yeah, not that impressed with this setup. You have to keep in mind that some vehicles in this segment, like the Eclipse Cross PHEV, offer vehicle to grid. So yeah, this type of arrangement really needs to be a whole lot better. I think the Eclipse Cross even does DC charging as well. So yeah, they need to definitely improve on that. We've just hit the road in the HS. Now, let me run you through this engine and electric combo because it's actually pretty interesting. So the internal combustion engine is a 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol. It on its own makes 119 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque. So that figure isn't actually too bad just as it sits. But then it's mated to an electric motor, and that electric motor makes 90 kilowatts of power and 230 newton meters of torque. When they work combined, that produces a combined output of 189 kilowatts of power and 370 newton meters of torque. Now, I've just thrown a whole bunch of numbers there at you, but what that basically means is you actually have a decent internal combustion engine to begin with. Often what they'll do with these plug-in hybrids is fit the world's smallest internal combustion engine to improve fuel economy and then mate it with an electric motor, which ultimately doesn't really serve you all that well when you run out of battery. So this is the compromise they strike. Now, in terms of the battery, so I mentioned earlier that it's around that 17 kilowatt hour mark, and that means you get about 60-ish kilometers worth of driving just on pure electric range. Unlike other competitors in this segment, you can't really do a whole lot in terms of configuring the battery. So you can't make it hold charge, you can't really make it do a great deal. You can, though, go to your driving settings here and there's a battery level control, and basically you can flick that between medium and high, and I guess that tries to charge the battery a little more, but it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot as you flick through those different menus. Other brands will allow you to use the internal combustion engine to charge the battery, or alternatively just run it on an internal combustion engine if you want. There is a dedicated EV mode, so by pushing this button here, it goes into EV only. Now, this is fascinating because it is really punchy in EV mode. So if I put that flat to the board there, it won't kick the internal combustion engine on, it just stays in EV mode. So it's not the world's punchiest motor, but it does push you in the back and get things moving along nicely, and it means that you can just drive on EV if you want to. The other interesting component to this whole combination is the transmission. So it uses 6 forward gears for the internal combustion engine and then 4 gears for the electric motor. So it's always doing something in the background there, and it doesn't feel, you don't really notice it shifting gears. With some of these EVs that use set gears, you do notice the gear shifts. Here it is incredibly seamless, and I think the way that they've set this up suits this combination nicely. And then when you are sick of just tootling along here, if you do punch it, what does it feel like? It's not too bad. So again, it's not mind-numbingly quick, but it's more than adequate, and it gives you a nice little shunt in the back. The screen here ahead of the driver gives you an idea of what the system's doing in terms of the internal combustion engine, whether it's charging the battery or just running on EV alone. Now let's talk about ride. Often with Chinese cars that haven't been tuned for the Australian market, they perform not that great over our sine wave here, which will hit at maximum legal speed in Australia, which is 130. Let's see what it feels like. Oh, wow. Oh, that is not great. That is really average. So yeah, lack of body control there, and it just sits up in the air for way too long. So look, there is some merit to actually tuning cars in Australia, and it means that when they do arrive here and you do go out for a drive in the country and you do hit a set of those consecutive sine waves, it's not going to buck you about like it just did there. Now, what's it like if you want to have a little bit of fun? There is no sport mode, but we'll lob it through our corner here and see how it feels. Yeah, look, there's a fair bit of body roll there, but it's actually not terrible. if you do stay stuck into it, it has enough power there to spin up the inside wheel. So it is engaging in that sense. So yeah, it's not going to be the most boring car in the world if you do want to chuck it through a couple of corners. What about your fuel economy? So one of the big benefits of a plug-in hybrid is that if you do drive it on just electric, you're not going to use a drop of fuel. But if you do, I guess, drive a combination of those, you're going to have a little bit of fuel use. The official figure is 1.7 litres per 100 k's, which is a pretty low number. Let's have a look at how it's currently performing. It's currently sitting on 7.1 litres per 100 k's. So that's significantly higher than the official claim. It is worth keeping in mind that we have been doing highway driving to get here, and it was left with a full battery, but it didn't seem to use much of that battery on the drive here. So it is interesting that perhaps it only uses the EV portion of this when you're driving in and around the city, and that is the most efficient way to be doing it. But yeah, I'd be interested to see over the long term whether that economy figure does come down. This car only has 200 k's on the clock, but I think it should be doing better than 7 litres per 100 k's. Now, MG claims a 0 to 100 time of just under 7 seconds. We put it up against our stopwatch, and this is how it went. How quiet is it inside the cabin? It's actually not too bad. When you're driving along here at sort of country road speeds on a coarse chip surface, there isn't a great deal of noise that comes into the cabin, and of course that whole hybrid drivetrain is nice and quiet even when the internal combustion engine is running, so that's not too bad at all. What's your visibility like? So it is a reasonably sized SUV, but I can clearly see down the front of the car there. The wing mirrors are nice and big. I've got a blind spot monitor built into those. Visibility out the rear is not too bad. It's a narrow envelope, but I can see far enough out there. I did notice though with the reverse camera when it is on, it kind of points to the ground. You don't get much vision down the road, so it would be nice if they could, I don't know, elevate that up a little bit so you can actually see further down the road. Now, you're probably not going to be doing any towing in this, but if you do, 1,500 kilograms is your braked towing capacity, and then in addition to that, this requires 95 RON premium unleaded fuel. So the MG HS, the plug-in hybrid, what do we think? I'm kind of in two minds about this because it's actually not too bad to drive. The gearbox and the hybrid components actually work quite well together. It's very smooth. It's got plenty of punch as well. And you know, if you do want to do your EV driving, you just press a button and you can just drive it on EV. I'm concerned a bit though about the consumption. I think we need to do a much longer drive to get an idea of what the consumption's like. And perhaps what we'll do when this video goes live, I'll pin a comment down the bottom that lets you know what our average was for the week that we had with the car, to let you know if it is a little bit better than what it was when we tested it today. I just think it falls behind some of the competition in terms of the, I guess, the features that you get with the plug-in hybrid system. So none of that sort of vehicle to load or vehicle to grid setup. You can't do any DC charging, and you can only charge at AC at up to 3.6 kilowatts. So it's not really all that impressive from other plug-in hybrids on the market. So yeah, it is affordable and it does sort of tick the boxes for being an EV and a plug-in hybrid, but I just don't think it is the best one on the market. So let me know in the comments section below, what do you think about this? Have you driven this? Did you buy one? What else were you cross-shopping? I'm keen to find out. And if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, drive safely.